Coming to you live from Gyulzzing City in Tibet. We are here with the 28th edition of ESL Pro Tour Open Cup Asia. I am your host, Yaku of Gyulzzing, and with me today I have El Jugador del Bolos con todos los cajolers, Light_VIP. How we doing, Light, as we go into this insane bracket that we've got today?
Oh god, what's up, Yaku? It's great to be back. Every week we cast this, and we had a tough time picking our first round matches, and this is what we settled on. Of course we did, as
this is our duty. Exactly. We have, man, I guess we'll get into it after we finish up these intros here. We're in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. We have a red Protoss coming out all the way from the land of Korea. He is someone who may or may not be forgotten, but to some other players, or to some other viewers, he will be a very familiar name. We have, currently teamless, Gyulzzing.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Everdream LE, we have the Australian Protoss player representing Legacy Esports. It is Probe.
Oh, mate, Sean.
Oh, mate, Sean.
Yeah, as we were saying today, today's not a bracket that we thought we'd be getting anytime soon. We had, as you were saying, a lot of options for our first place match. We had this, we had Ragnarok versus Demi, we had Rex versus Creator, but we also had something which you too can actually watch right now over on twitch.tv/WardyTV. I believe that's his channel name, right? Over on Wardy's channel. So. It's something I didn't think was legal. We have AM Silky versus CN Silky, a ZVZ, amongst two people with the same name.
I would have loved to have cast that. As soon as the bracket went live, everyone, all the casters, the admins, everyone was like, "Oh my god, this is what so many people have been waiting for." Like there've been so many people in the community, like even like people like Fear Dragon, and they mentioned it on the Pylon show as well. Like we need a show match between the two Silkies so that they can settle who is the real Silky, right? Who has the name change.
The other one has to, the other one has to rename to Cotton or something.
Exactly. Just the lesser Silk. But yeah, it's a shame that we won't be covering that. Of course, it is being covered by Wardy, so you can tune into that ZVZ over there. Here, we are following our own fellow regional Australian Protoss player here in Probe instead.
Yeah, that we will. And Probe he's been having I don't really want to say a weird couple of weeks here. Now, he has got a lot more free time on his hands, and that means that he's had a lot more time to play StarCraft and practice, but it seems to me anyway, just from watching his stream, Probe is trying to practice diversity as a player, to put it lightly.
To put it lightly. Yeah, Probe, shout out to Probe, by the way. He did finish his exams for this semester of university, and oh my god, he didn't get the block on the ramp.
This could actually be brutal right now. We've seen that 2 adepts can cause a lot of damage, and so far, already 4 probes have been going down. Not to mention the probe that's controlling them all.
Oh my god.
And no adept dies.
What?
Both of them managed to live here.
Jesus Christ.
And they're going in for a second shade by the Stalkers. They're way out of position.
I can at least get one more. Oh, okay. Wow, that fake shade like caused like a cancelled or denied pylon there as well. Like that was actually really sick. But he's going it again. Okay,
but there's the proactive pylon block this time. I think Gyulzzing has decided I've had just about enough of this. Time to go into my 2-base build.
Yeah, and as we see in the disparity in the worker count, like Probe is already well ahead in those workers. I believe he also had a bit of an earlier Nexus as well, and that also comes into play. But he is a little bit behind in tech, and that's where that blink that we see that Gyulzzing is going for is coming into play.
Yeah, he is being a little bit behind in the actual progression of the tech, but he has been, because he got that Nexus earlier on, as he was saying, he has been able to actually just spend his money more. And he is going to be the first player to get that robo facility and the first one to get the Immortals out. Which is an interesting kind of dynamic, isn't it? Like, how...
Yeah.
You know, how did resources play out? Time versus minerals.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, time is also playing in the lower half of the bracket as well.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can tune into that.
Are you suggesting a show match between time and a player called Minerals?
Oh my god. No, time and Jim. We need
to have that settled. The debate that we started last week that we have never put down.
I love it. I love how we ended up on that. But yeah, like Gyulzzing, he is getting the faster blink. But the thing is, Probe isn't too far behind, so there is like this small window of opportunity where Gyulzzing can maybe abuse that, but it doesn't look like it's going to really come into play. So far, Probe, he got that early lead, and he's kind of maintaining it.
Yeah, he is, and you can really see how he's decided to make use of that lead. I don't believe you've seen these minerals go down to over 300 or 400 so far.
Yeah, and with that lead, like, he's getting a forge as well, right? He's going to be working on upgrades, but ooh, I love this from Gyulzzing. He's the first to start, like, diverging these tech paths, and it looks like he may be looking to get into disruptors.
Yeah, always So it's more reliable of the 2 RoboBay units you can get out.
Yeah, it's also like
the PvP.
Yeah, and it's like a way to come back once you have like a deficit, right? Like disruptor hits can just make or break like games.
Yeah, they are called the equalizer for a reason.
Yeah.
And speaking of equalizing, no units died, so, you know, equality, hashtag.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how this played out. Like, first, Probe was really, like, aggressive, and then, since then, both players have kind of respected each other and stayed in each other's halves of the map. Like, Probe, he kind of pushed out, but Gyulzzing met him in the middle of the map, and they kind of, like, glanced off each other. Nothing too crazy, and they keep scouting each other as well, as, you know, both players are sending out hallucinated phoenixes, so, yeah, kind of passive so far.
Yeah, well, so far being the key phrase there, I think, as Probe, he is sending out a Stalker force to act as a bit of harassment. The main army is still way back as a defensive force. But Probe now, once again, going to be moving back with the Stalkers. So, you know, the Stalkers, this is exactly like Tides and the Moon or something like that. I feel like there's something controlling these Stalkers. And outside
we
force.
see them. Yeah, they're like flowing back and forth. They're like magnets, like they can't touch, you know, like.
But now they are starting to touch. Probe gonna be the one to take the initiative. A beautiful blink forward, but Gyulzzing gonna be quick to turn away. Will Probe chase us down? It seems like he is gonna be taking the initiative. Another fantastic blink. Gyulzzing kind of whiffing his own.
Yeah, he did get like caught out there, but again, like they're kind of just losing stalkers, gateway units. Like none of the big like heavy robo units have gone down, so like kind of almost negligible losses so far in this game.
Indeed, they have been. And there's an interesting thing that I've not seen out of other Protoss players here, like especially in the PvZ, spotter zealots.
Yeah, like
you
know, typically you see like spotter pylons and stuff like that, but using zealots, I mean, sure, it works, right?
Yeah, obviously they do have their downsides. They're a bit of a shorter range, but yeah, you can't put them in the foliage like that. And of course, they hit back as opposed to pylons, which just sort of die.
Yeah, and I mean, Probe, like, he still has a bit of a lead. You know, he did get that third base a lot faster. Gyulzzing, just now, like, getting it up and running, and yeah, they're just kind of chilling at the moment. And I'm kind of surprised because you were talking about it. Probe, he's been, like, I guess, experimenting on stream.
To put it lightly.
Not in... yeah, it's just like, you know, like, dipping his toes into, like, more cheese or aggressive plays. But this game, it's been very, very passive.
It has. I guess he is wanting to show what his bread and butter is, why he did rise to become that top Australian player in the first place. And it was through this sort of passive macro styles.
Yeah, like you like get a little bit of a lead and then you just secure it, right? And then you just maintain, you know, you get like faster upgrades, you get faster third base, you get a better economy. And here we have him transitioning into SkyToss.
Yeah, really trying to make up for his performance last week, where we did see him go. It's basically the complete opposite. 3 cannon rush games in a row.
I forgot about that. Yeah. For those wondering, last week we casted Rex versus Probe, and Probe cannon rushed 3 games in a row. God damn it, Probe.
He did not. He was done. He just thought, yep, my exams are done. This is all I want to do. I'm just gonna actually enjoy myself.
just gonna have fun and, you know, let's just roll the dice. And it almost worked, you know, he wins game 3, but yeah, here we go. Probe actually sneaking in with the Warp Prism. Ooh, it actually avoids those stalkers.
Yeah, and look at all these exposed pylons right now. A couple of them, okay, to be fair, a couple of them are pretty secure. But these charges can do quite a bit. They are +2 weapons.
Oh, and they're also meeting at the third base at the same time.
Yeah, it did clash a little bit at the third base. Nice targeting down on that Warp Prism by Gyulzzing there.
Yeah, really nicely done. He was able to shut that down, and now he can just focus on, you know, the main army. And they're both taking their fourth bases. Gyulzzing, you know, he did throw down Dark Shrine earlier, now getting DT Blink as well. Like, this is gonna get into a long PvP, mate.
It really, truly will, and that's my intention from both of our players. So Pro might be putting a stop to that right now. He's got a pretty healthy Phoenix count. He could absolutely take these Disruptors out of commission. As you're saying, these are the equalizers. Without them, what has Gyulzzing got to contest that army? A whole bunch of Stalkers, but they're not exactly going to do much against Double Immortal and a heck of a lot of Archons, are they?
Exactly. Like, it's so important for Gyulzzing to use his Stalkers to protect those Disruptors, because as soon as they get picked off, like, they're just completely out of commission, completely CC'd in the fight. So, yeah, it has to be careful. And, the DTs are actually being shown here as well.
Yeah, a little bit of a risk that you're taking there as Gyulzzing. You know, it's good to try to take out a couple of these key units, but knowing that it is the main army, yeah, more than likely there are going to be a couple of observers.
Yeah, and I love what Probe just did. He was actually just killing all those rocks, like preparing for the later engagement, as it's always a nightmare trying to go back and forth through that choke point. Oh.
Yeah, there's a very nice chargelet run by. And they are getting a lot, not quite going to be able to get the Dark Shrine. Look at all these Disruptors. What I tell you, like, all of them CC'd. A couple of them are landing, though. And if Probe doesn't notice, then Gyulzzing can pop off a couple of cheeky Purification Novas, but it seems like he will not be able to whatsoever. Probe starting to push in here, and to be honest, the army supply looks about even. I slightly favor Probe, just because I think he has a bit of a better army. But Gyulzzing, he can absolutely fight back if he gets a good position. But with the Reinforcing Zealots, I think that's going to be about it here. Like, GG is called. Probe, showing that he has not been fully corrupted by the ways of the Hydra.
Yeah, it all just came down to the engagement. We were talking about it, right? Like, Gyulzzing, he had to do his best to try and protect his Disruptors, and even though he had a really large Stalker count, like, the focus firing just wasn't there, or maybe it was, there just were so many Phoenixes. We saw, right, like, some of the Disruptors got dropped, and then they got lifted up straight away, you know, like.
Yeah. It's always a mark of a attentive player to be able to be on top of that. And I guess really proving he is that player.
Yeah, it's really cool to see him, you know, a little bit come back to his roots a little bit and really showcase his, you know, his more standard macro skill here. But yeah, I was honestly pretty curious to see how these two would play against each other, just because Gyulzzing, like, he's been a long time, like, Korean player, and like, you rarely see these guys play against each other except for tournaments like this one.
Exactly. That's also kind of weird, because when I think of Gyulzzing, I think of a player who was on a Kespa team at one point, but I really cannot put any details to his name. Like, Gyulzzing is a name that I recognize, but honestly I could not give you any details about him.
He's the kind of player who has played in the Lima League since, like, almost its inception. Like he's just been there grinding. Yeah, not that's not accurate, but, but like he's been there, he's grinding online. He just hasn't really broken out of that like ladder hero, like Korean ladder hero scene, like a chance or like a control, you know.
It's possible that I was mixing Gyulzzing up with Dokyung, otherwise known as I don't remember what he was otherwise known as. But anyway, we are now on to Eternal Empire, L-E-E-L-E-Ile. We're in the bottom left-hand corner map. Spotting in that bottom left-hand corner of the map, we do have that online hero, that online grinder here in the bottom left. He is currently teamless, the Red Protoss, Gyulzzing. From South Korea.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Eternal Empire LE, we have the Australian Protoss player representing Legacy Esports. It is Probe.
Right, Dokyung was billowy.
Billowy was on a Casper team.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I was thinking, yes, there's that one player who changed his name to a more Korean-sounding name. Alright, Gyulzzing. No. I was thinking of Dokyung.
You're not thinking of Forte?
No, because I remember Forte is a Terran player.
Yes. He was Salvation previously, if you recall.
Yeah. Is he in the military now, or...?
I believe so. I believe he's one of the guys in the military.
Yeah.
I hope he comes back. I was a big Forte fan back in the day.
I remember him breaking out in that one season of GSL 2018, and then immediately retiring and going into the military. Also fairly young for going into the military, isn't he?
Yeah.
22? 21?
I mean, he looked fairly young. I don't know. I'm not too sure how young he actually was. But he's also kind of old school. Like, he's been around since, I think, at least Heart of the Swarm. Maybe Wings of Liberty. I'm not too sure. But yeah, it's one of the many to go to the military.
I remember him mostly for being one of the earliest players to utilize the new Raven.
Oh.
Obviously not the only one. I think Byun might have been one of the ones who caught on fairly early. Maru definitely was, but yeah, Forte was amongst them.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking about
anyway,
Protoss players.
Yeah, speaking about those Protoss units that we all love, like a Raven, Gyulzzing trying his luck here with that proxy robo.
Yeah, really interesting proxy location, like at the Zelnaga Watchtower, which is a place that you would expect, like, to eventually like scout. So yeah, pretty bold of it.
This is absolutely so. In fact, there are a lot of players who very early on do like to get that Zelnaga Tower, but I guess that's a little bit of that strange rules where you normally get the Zelnaga Tower on the other side of the map, right? Because you want to know when your opponent's pushing out, as soon as possible. And as you see, that's exactly what Probe has done.
Yeah, I love it. I love this kind of mind game, well, I should say metagame, right? Where the Probe is on the other Zelnaga, so you know that there is an opportunity to throw down a proxy there. And with this proxy mortar, I mean, we're in a weird position because specifically shield batteries were put into the game to stop this sort of stuff, or to help defend against this.
Yeah, we'll really have to see how good overcharge can be. Yeah. Probe does have one available to him right now, so this is going to be a little bit rough. One Immortal and 4 Stalkers, but the Immortal getting targeted down by the Stalkers already. No Guardian Shell for it. Down into the Reds. Probe only losing a single probe there. Nicely done.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, and this is why, like, for the longest time, we kept calling him an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Not quite the Shield of Ire, but, like, yeah, he was able to defend incredibly well with very, like, almost little effort.
Gyulzzing moves the Warp Prism away just at the last second there.
Oh my god.
That could have been pretty rough.
Like how we both, like, foresaw the, like, impending doom. We're like, oh my god.
He's gonna die! Yeah, no, but I think Probe has realized, okay, Gyulzzing, he's got that robo facility. What is he gonna get behind us? Either a second Immortal or a Warp Prism to try to elevate her. Where's he gonna elevate her to? My main base. So yeah, that was very well thought out by Probe.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, already taking some hull damage there on that War Prism. Like, one more volley will completely take it out. So Gyulzzing has to be so careful with it. Any false move, and that's the end.
Yeah, it seemed like he found a bit of a blind spot there, but waited just a little bit too long. Probe has been able to position himself. And this is starting to get pretty tense here, Light.
Yeah, I mean, there's a decent number of sentries, 2 Immortals as well. Oh, nice force fields.
And there's a little bit of flank coming out from Gyulzzing, and it's not working out too well. So I should take out a single stalker, but it is do or die time right now for Gyulzzing. Double Immortals are starting to come into the mix, and Immortals are one of those units that scale incredibly well. Battery Overcharge is going to put a halt to this advance, but that's all on cooldown. Probe, he's got 3 shield batteries, so he's still in a pretty good defensive position, but he will not be able to rely on that Hail Mary anymore.
Yeah, the force fields earlier were just so good for Gyulzzing. He was able to trade so well. The Zealots for Probe deal soak a lot of damage there, and a third Immortal is coming down the ramp as well to help Probe.
Yeah, there's some pretty nice juggling coming out. The Immortal of Gyulzzing starting to get low, but he does position it back. Probe actually going to be the one to lose 2 of his Immortals, and I think this is starting to be a GG's call. Gyulzzing with a very nice metagame there, really showing how well those Immortals can scale. Manages to tie this series up sideways 1-1.
Yeah, that was really well played by Gyulzzing, and it was really interesting how in that last engagement, we saw Probe. He actually pounced on that like low health War Prism and killed it. So that didn't even come into play in terms of micro potential. But the force fields of Gyulzzing just completely cut Probe's army in half, and then we saw that he was forced to recall, right? And yeah, like Gyulzzing just got a lot of momentum out of that.
Yeah, the recall was... I feel like that recall is one of those moves where people can really study to look at and be like, okay, why did Probe do this recall? You know, and how did it help him, and how did it help Gyulzzing and whatnot, and those kind of stuff, because from where I was sitting at anyway, it seemed like he could have gone either way. He could recall, or he could try to back away. And both of them, have their advantages and their disadvantages. Yeah, it did kind of seem like the downside of recalling there is that your units can take a couple more hits. But obviously you have that upside of to get back to behind shield battery sooner.
Yeah, I think I'm not too sure, but I think also Probe's War Prism was maybe a little bit late, so he was forced to recall instead of trying to micro with the War Prism and pick up his units. But yeah, there was a lot that came into play there.
There was, and speaking of what's come into play, we are now tied up 1-1 in this best of 3. This is our first round tonight, Light, and in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner of Ice and Chrome. You can tell it's Ice and Chrome because the RAM or something. We'll try to work something in later on. The Red Protoss coming down all the way from the land of South Korea. He is the Olimo Leaguer legend. Can we call him that? I'm not sure if we can. Currently teamless, we have Gyulzzing.
The Ram?
The Ram? No, the Olimo League of Legend.
You said Ice and Chrome.
Oh no, the Ram. Yeah, the Ram. That's where the Chrome is. No, it's the Ice is what you cool. Yeah, no, this was inspired by the map maker. I'm guessing here by their love of Google Chrome, or some kind of emotion out of Google Chrome, right? Because they had to use ice to cool down their RAM. I'm guessing. That's where the name came from.
This makes sense.
Does it?
That's putting in the top right-hand corner of Ice and Chrome LE. We have the Australian Protoss player representing Legacy Esports. It is Probe.
Yeah, so Seal was asking, where's the Chrome? It was in the emotions of the map maker.
It's in the map, inside, you know, underneath the ice.
Is that ice or is that snow?
Look,
I can't tell
right?
the difference.
Either way, we do have a proxy here coming out from Probe, and
Sorry.
Yeah.
Alright, so now, naturally, we are going to be seeing a robo come out of Gyulzzing, right? Right?
Yeah. The forces of nature themselves are like guiding him to throw down a robo. We'll see if he can resist the urge or if he will give in. At the moment, Gyulzzing, he doesn't really have any idea about this proxy. He did probe scout earlier. He does know that there is a proxy pylon somewhere, just doesn't quite know where.
Yeah, and he's actually taking the wrong side of the map at the moment, which really is kind of 50-50 here. Can't really blame Gyulzzing too much, but he did have that second probe scout. Should be able to see. Is that a little bit too north? That probe, I mean? Well, I guess it doesn't matter because Gyulzzing stopped rallying there.
No, Gyulzzing, so he completely misses it. Oh, he may be coming back, but at this point it's too late. The Oracle is more than halfway done. It's being chronoed out as well, so it gets spotted, but what is there for Gyulzzing to defend? 2
Stalkers, and that's about it. Now, Gyulzzing did know that he was going to be in a little bit of a precarious position, so I like that he did get that that shield battery early on. He knew that no matter what's coming out, he needs to have some kind of defense out. And this kind of neutralizes the Oracle, forces Probe to go back.
Yeah, that was actually really well done by Gyulzzing. Like, he knew there was a proxy, he didn't know what, and he just threw down a shield battery just in case, and that was exactly what he needed there.
And now Probe, gonna have to be going on home. Gonna have to follow this up into a more standard macro game involving robo facilities.
Yeah, so far, Gyulzzing, he does have a little bit of a lead, but at the same time, like the Oracle, it's still very much alive. It could dive in at a later point to do more damage. Like, it's still useful in some way, so it's not too bad for Probe.
Even now, without any energy on it, he is starting to get a bit of a scout. You know, sees the progression of that Nexus coming out, knows what build that Gyulzzing is going for, so how much he can get away with macroing up back at home.
Yeah, and at this point, like, honestly, I'm a little bit surprised that Gyulzzing hasn't gone out and tried to deal with that pylon and that proxy. To be fair, it is like, you do expose yourself if you try to go for something like that. And as a result, we did just have a Phoenix finish up for Probe as well, so it's getting a little bit more value out of that Stargate.
Yeah, gonna be building up to that army that he built up in game number 1 with those Archons, Immortals, and Phoenixes. Which it's not something you see every day, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, like, it's, if you can get away with it, like, obviously your ground army is a little bit weaker because of it, but you can get a lot done. Oh, good.
That's the main reason why you don't see it, because of that weakening of the army, but I do really like the crowd control potential. 6 probes do go down from Probe, and as you were saying, 2 Adepts. You can never really underestimate those.
Yeah, that was really nicely done there by Gyulzzing. He slipped 2 in, got 6 Probe kills. Like, that's actually even better than what Probe did last game.
And speaking of even better than Probe last game, Gyulzzing is starting to move out across the map with this Warp Prism, with this Force out. No upgrades as of yet, but this is still a pretty deadly army. A lot of sentries means a lot of force fields, and a single Immortal. What has Probe got back at home?
I'm a little bit worried for Gyulzzing because there are 2 Phoenixes here, and so there's the potential to just see that lone Immortal, so that's going to just immediately be taken out of the fight. Yeah,
and on top of that, it's a lot more reliable to take out a Warp Prism with Phoenixes than with Stalkers, I can tell you that much, like.
Definitely. So we'll see how Gyulzzing manages to engage this. We'll see how good Probe's defense is, as Gyulzzing, he is looking to try and push in.
Yeah, and almost getting it. Uses a lot of force fields here, which worries me a bit, as, Gyulzzing, he doesn't have a lot. This is kind of an all-in at the moment, so he needs to do damage. He cannot afford to waste his energy like that. And what I tell you about those Phoenixes, they are starting to chomp away at that Warp Prism. Chomp away? That's wrong race, but, the other one, zap away.
That they do. And now there are 2 Immortals now, so a little bit more firepower here from Gyulzzing as the armies are starting to engage.
Nice force fields coming out from the side of Probe. Gyulzzing's force fields not too bad. Does mean that Probe's army cannot attack Gyulzzing's. And it's actually a pretty good position right now. I'm not sure who quite to favor. The Warp Prism goes down. And as you're saying, that crowd control on top of the Immortals. that means that Gyulzzing's army is just so much weaker.
Oh my god, he does it again as well and does get the immortal, forces the recall, and Probe just astounding defense there at his natural.
Absolutely brilliant, and things are not looking too good for Gyulzzing right now. He was planning on that push to do damage, not quite kill Probe, but at least take out some of the economy or trade evenly even.
Yeah, definitely. Like, he definitely wanted a lot more than what he got, right? He traded army for army, and he definitely came out, you know, worse out of that engagement. So Gyulzzing, he is forced back. Probe taking that advantage to throw down Nexus, but Gyulzzing, he's throwing down a lot of gateways.
Yeah, and there are a number of ways that you can react after a failed push coming out. You can try to lick your wounds and try to be a little bit greedy, go for some expansions, or as Gyulzzing is doing right now, really prepare in terms of the army. And this isn't just for round 2 of a push, it's also because he knows that Probe has the opportunity to counterattack if he so chooses to, so he needs that production to get those defensive units out.
Exactly, like when you're down in supply, like you need that extra production to try and catch up, and this is also a nice like way to diverge your plan and go into like just a counterattack and just go even more all in, right?
Yeah. It does kind of pigeonhole you a little bit, as it means that your economy is going to be taking a bit of a back seat, but it's whatever you need to survive, really.
Yeah, definitely. And here we go. We do have more and more gateway units being warped in. Gyulzzing going for round 2 this time. He does have 3 immortals, but as we are seeing, there are disruptors on the way.
Cancel at the last second. Probe does not want to even bother defending that 3rd bit Nexus.
Yeah, he knows it's a death trap if he even tries to do so. Nice last second cancel there, and here we go. Gyulzzing is here once again at the natural.
Yeah, try to go up that ramp, but nice little gateway block. And now Probe is the one with the disruptor out. Not a lot of anti-disruptor units. A Purification Nova does land. Now, thankfully, Gyulzzing was able to pick up a couple of units there, but that is still not quite what you want. This army of Gyulzzing is starting to look pretty dangerous right now for Probe. A lot of good force fields being thrown out, but the battery overcharge really solidifying Probe's position right now. Even the Glaive Adepts really showing what they can get done. Another Purification Nova takes out another couple of units, and this is too much. GG's called. Probe showing that PvP does not have to be a matchup that he insta-forfeits. And will now go on to face, oh no, SOS, which might be a match that he insta-forfeits.
There's a reason why I looked at this. I'm like, mate, if they're going full meme with Silky versus Silky, we gotta go full PvP on this one. We've got Gyulzzing versus Probe leading into Probe versus SOS.